Welcome everybody to one of the biggest student orientations we've had. We've got all three of our advanced classes on tonight. Students from the Bass, Bald Eagle, and Baboon classes, that's Ruby on Rails, React, and Node Express classes respectively, are joining us this evening for student orientation. So that way you can see if anything's changed since the last time you were in class with us, if you're a returning student. And if you are new to our program, welcome, and you get to see all of your class tools and ask questions and get comfortable with your class flow. So without any further ado, here is our agenda for the evening. I'm going to split you off into breakout rooms, which we will not be recording, and you'll have about 5 or 10 minutes for everybody to just quickly go around and introduce themselves. The next screen that I show you is going to give you an idea of what we want you to do for your very, very quick, short introductions to be able to get to know your classmates. Then I'll have a very brief segment that I provide for anybody that's new to our organization and or people who aren't aware of some of the structure to our organization. Then I will share information about Code the Dream. Then we'll start talking about your class, the profile, the curriculum, the tools, roles and expectations, class flow, all of that good stuff. We'll take a very, very short 3-minute break instead of a 5-minute break, so that way we can get you all on your way. And then we'll do a class preview. So you'll get to see what your class website looks like, how to find your lessons, how to find your homework, how to submit your homework, and the tool that you use to be able to submit that. We'll talk about CTD culture, so what it is to be a part of the Code the Dream program. We're very particular about our inclusiveness and diversity. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll cover next steps and any kind of questions and answers along the way. We'll definitely stick around at the end for any questions that anybody has. So yeah, without further ado, let me show you what we'll be doing for our intros that I'm going to split you all into your classes in just a moment. So we want you to do a one-hand introduction. That means there's 5 little tidbits of information that you should share with each other. If you can, turn on your camera, turn on your sound, so that way when you're in your breakout room, you'll be able to share your information. And you'll do your name and pronouns, your location, your experience. So are you completely new to the program, or have you taken a class with us before? Something that you're looking forward to in this class. It can just be a short one-word answer. And then a favorite food, drink, or book or show, just some simple little favorite thing that people can kind of associate your name with your favorite and make it a little bit easier to remember everybody. Okay, so name and pronouns, location, experience, what you're looking forward to in class, and a favorite item. So I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording for a moment here. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hope you got to meet everyone and everybody got a chance to introduce themselves to their classmates, get to know everybody. I'll be talking about practicum, which is the group project portion that happens at the very, very end of your advanced class that you'll be taking. So your introductions, carry them forward, get to know each other throughout the class, be vocal with each other in your mentor sessions. Reach out to one another through Slack channels to be able to communicate. We also have a Discord server up. I'll be posting instructions on how to join Discord server if you want to, so that way you can stay in touch with everybody. All right, I've got my screen share. If somebody just wants to give me a quick thumbs up, as long as it is viewable, it should say Meet Code the Dream in our mission statement. Good, okay, awesome, thank you all. Okay, so Meet Code the Dream. If you are new to our program, Code the Dream, so we are a nonprofit organization that originated out of Durham, North Carolina, and we have since expanded. We have international students and students across the US, as you will see in a few minutes when I show you your class profile. Our mission is to create opportunities that change lives, build technology that benefit communities, and support diversity that drives a more just and innovative world. So that's our mission statement. We'll also talk about our core values at Code the Dream here in a little bit too, just so that way you can kind of get an idea of who we are and what we're about. Here are our core values. We really strive to make sure that all of our classes, programs, apprenticeship, the practicum portion that you do at the end is really focused on inclusion, community, growth, and impact. So we want everybody to feel that their voice is being heard, that they are part of the team, that their point of view is respected and valued. We want to be able to help each other out, reach out to one another, with resources and, shoulders or ears if needed. If anybody needs to lean on a shoulder or, have somebody to talk to about struggles or about achievements, then feel free to do that. So we focus on community as well. Growth, obviously you all are in classes to learn new things. So growth is going to be a big part of your learning process over the next several weeks. And then impact, we hope that we are making an impact in the tech industry by helping foster diversification, if that's a word. I'm going to make it a word anyway, to help diversify and have more different points of view and more people that are within the humanities population represented in the tech industry specifically. So that's a little bit about our core values. We are a two-part organization. So we've got the classes side, CTD Learns, CTD School, which you all are enrolled in, that you'll be taking classes in. And then we also have a part of our organization called CTD Labs, and that is a development shop that builds real-world projects for real clients. The majority of the people who work on those projects are graduates from an advanced class and a practicum. We do have a handful of apprentices that have applied directly in. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. But it's an opportunity for either recent graduates or people who are kind of in that, I don't know that I'm quite ready for an entry-level position, but I know my stuff kind of phase, to be able to get real world experience, build up their confidence, learn some new things, that kind of a thing, and really make themselves an extremely strong candidate for getting into an entry-level position. About 90% of our apprentices go on to fairly well high-paying developer jobs. So it's a good path to take. You also can obviously just apply for software developer jobs right out of your advanced class and practicum too. All right, let's talk about your class path. As a reminder, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them up in the chat. I just saw one come from Vanessa. Are the apprenticeships remote? Yes, they are. The only requirement for the apprenticeship portion is just that you are living on US soil. You don't have to be a US resident. You don't have to have a work visa or any kind of special authorization. You just have to be physically living on US soil in order to be an apprentice. Okay. Keep those questions coming in the chat, or feel free to unmute and interrupt me if you need to. Also, feel free to use the slow down if I'm talking too fast, because I do have a bad tendency of talking really fast when I'm excited. And I'm excited that you all are starting classes with us. Okay, so general class path. This orange part here is where you all are embarking on the advanced classes. You're going to be digging deep into the frameworks or the languages that you are learning. And it's a 17-week portion where you're just going to be doing individual class work. So you will be working on your own code by yourself for the first 17 weeks. You'll have a little bit of about a week and a half break at the end of those 17 weeks, and then you'll start an 8-week practicum. Practicum is where you join up with classmates or cohort mates. So you might have some students from the other two classes that are on this call with you, to be able to create a team that will then build a project together over that 8-week period, to be able to give you a little bit more experience in what it's like to be in a team of developers and have multiple people touching the same code base and working on a singular project. The apprenticeships are full-time, Vanessa, to answer your question in the chat. Okay, so you'll go through class, you'll go through practicum. Everybody's encouraged to go through practicum if you've complete all of the work on time for class. Throughout your class, you'll have some professional and personal growth opportunities periodically on Fridays, usually around 12 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes that time varies. We periodically have presentations that are like how to bulk up your resume, places or resources that you can use for practicing technical interviews, information about some kind of new version update or feature of one of your particular tech stacks, things like that. So keep an eye on your class announcements, and we'll talk about how to find those later. But keep an eye out for any class announcements about skillets to join. Those are those Friday afternoon sort of professional growth opportunities. And then, of course, there's mindset curriculum, which runs concurrently with your classwork. It's not specific to your tech stack. It just gets you thinking like a programmer. So it's questions about like, what is my process for problem solving, and how do I troubleshoot things? How do I know if a resource that I'm looking at is a good resource for my particular issue that I'm running into with my code, or how do I know if it's a bad one? So there's lots of things like that that run in the mindset curriculum, which goes alongside your class curriculum. At the end of the class and practicum, then folks are invited to apply for the CTD Labs apprenticeship, which I mentioned briefly about, and I'll cover a little bit more in detail later as well. And we are having some changes in the lab side. We have been able to accept more students lately into the apprenticeship program because we are building relationships with larger companies like SAS and Cisco to be able to have some of our senior apprentices kind of trickle into positions there and or intern with them for the last portion of their apprenticeship. On average, let's see, out of our last cohort, I think it was like 90 or 95% of students who participated in practicum we accepted into the apprenticeship program. But we also have a fair amount of attrition or dropout that happens throughout the classes just because a lot of our students are from low-income backgrounds or might have changes in things that happen in their lives. I mean, a lot of folks were dealing with COVID over the past several years too. So you may have fewer students at the end of class than at the start of class, just because life gets in the way sometimes. And they might drop out to be able to take a later iteration of the class. And some of you might be somebody who's taking a later iteration of the class that you had tried earlier, and you're back to complete what you started earlier. And that's awesome too. There was a question from Isabel about the skillets sessions on Fridays. They're periodically throughout the program, so it's not going to be every Friday at noon. Some of the skillets that we have on Fridays, the professional development opportunities that we have on Fridays, are geared more towards apprentices and people who are ready to kind of get into a developer role. Some of them are geared a little bit more towards students. So depending on the topic will be whether or not you'll have a skillet to attend on Friday around lunchtime Eastern time. Okay, these are great questions. Keep the questions rolling. So we've got the apprenticeship information that I just shared. Ideally, we want everybody to wind up landing themselves a software developer job, whether that happens at the end of your practicum, when you have that team experience behind you to make you a really strong candidate to jobs you're applying for, or whether that happens after you've been an apprentice with our CTD lab side. Regardless, we hope that you all wind up landing in a software developer job. And let us know if you find resources along the way that can help you get to that end game that we hope everybody gets to. Okay, so let's talk more specifically about your class path. So you've already done the application process, or you've taken an intro class with us, and your final project from your intro classes allowed you to advance onto the advanced classes. So right now you're in the advanced classes with the practicum that follows. Just like intro class, if you were with an intro class with us, your class is kind of broken into 5 parts. We use this little mask-off acronym: materials, assignments, sessions, community, and final project. And I'll be going into each of these 5 aspects in great detail after our break. But you'll have a learning materials session or segment that you wind up covering. It is sort of a flipped classroom model, so you'll do a lot of reading and covering videos, covering tutorials on your own. Your mentor sessions are where you can go to meet with an experienced developer, either as a group, or you can schedule one-on-ones with mentors to be able to get questions answered if there are things that are unclear from the lesson materials. So you'll dive into your lesson materials first, you'll attend mentor sessions to get questions answered, and then reach out to the community throughout that whole process. If you don't understand how a question's worded, if you're not sure where to turn to for extra materials to help make a particular concept make sense, then reach out to your classmates, reach out to your student leaders, reach out to your mentors, so that way you can get any information and kind of help make the lesson materials make sense. And then community, we have Slack that we use, as well as Discord. I'll be covering those tools later in the presentation tonight as well. And everybody is expected to do a final project. The final project kind of varies depending on which of the 3 classes you're in. I'll talk about the difference between those as well. But those 5 aspects make up your classes. At the end, you'll do a practicum again, where you'll meet in small groups of usually about 5 or 6 students to a group, and you'll build an application together, so that way you can kind of learn what that workflow process is. And that will get you ready to be able to join a development team out in the real world. You will have the option of applying for the apprenticeship at the end of the practicum, or you can go ahead and start applying for software developer jobs. Once you land yourself in a software development job, then we hope that you can pay it forward and let other students follow in your footsteps. Either donate your time, come back as an assignment reviewer, as a mentor for an intro class, something like that. Or if you landed a really nice high-paying developer job and you want to kick back some of your extra income to be able to help us fund these programs, then feel free to do that as well. All right, questions about the class path at all? Anybody want to go over any information about that? There were a couple of questions I think that popped up while I was chatting. You'll get information about the skillets in your class announcements channel in Slack, and I'll cover what Slack is and what all of that looks like as well. And then, yeah, there's not a schedule. We announce it in Slack, usually Fridays at, they're actually usually Fridays at noon Eastern, which would make it 9 Pacific. It's not possible to mentor the intro class while you are taking a class currently, just because there's a fair amount of work that goes into mentoring the classes as well. So we want you to be able to just focus on your class to be able to really do well and succeed in your class. Awesome. All right, thank you for popping in with some answers there too for students that know some of this rigmarole already. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's take a look at what your class is made up of. Initially, we offered positions in these 3 classes to 66 students overall. I think to date, I've gotten more than 46 student acceptance forms back from folks. So we should have some pretty decently sized classes, except for the Ruby on Rails class. I know you all are a small bunch. I think there's only about 7 or 8 of you in that class. But regardless, so there's a number of people that are all joining class all at the same time here. About 65% are people of color, 58.7% are women or non-binary, 91.33% are low-income backgrounds. Average age is between 18 and 52, with sort of that average age being 33. And students across the classes are represented across 14 states in the United States. And you can see from the map here, it's all over, both, in every time zone practically. And we also have international students joining us as well. We have got folks from Morocco, from Vietnam, from Afghanistan, from Denmark, from Canada, from the US. And obviously you all might be originating from other countries besides the ones that I just mentioned. Those are just where people are currently residing. So we do have a whole lot of time zones that we're working with. That's one challenge of being in classes. Always be aware of what your local time zone is, and be ready to adjust times that are posted for mentor sessions or things like that to make sure that you are joining at the right time, your local time, in the event your mentor is somewhere else in the world. Okay. So questions about your class profile? The main reason we share this information is just to kind of give you an idea that we do have diverse students that are coming into our program. So please be very welcoming, be very patient and understanding, make an effort to communicate with each other. Sometimes just having different original native languages can be a struggle as it is to be able to communicate with one another. So just be patient, ask questions to get to know one another better, all of that good stuff. All right, let's talk about our class tools. So you'll have 2 websites that are learn.codethedream.org based websites that you'll be frequenting often. One will be for your specific class, and I will be giving a visual of all of these after the break. The other is learn.codethedream.org/student-resources, and that has information for like JavaScript glossary tools and GitHub cheat sheets in case you are forgetting Git commands, or things that are like advice on how to make your LinkedIn profile more visible when you're applying for jobs. All kinds of good things are in the student resources section there. Each class will have learning materials specific to their class. The Node class, we've got free code camp videos is the primary source of your learning materials. And we break down as far as what time segments of those videos you're going to want to watch for your lessons each week. For the React class, the Road to React PDF, it's a printed book, but we have the PDF version that we will be providing you with. So you'll be reading through the book, coding alongside it. I think he does have some screenshot pictures in there as well, and or like code snippets, so that way you can kind of code alongside. And then the Ruby on Rails class, you'll be using Team Treehouse to be able to watch video tutorials and be able to code alongside those video tutorials for your content. All of your assignments are going to be based in GitHub. So if you are new to GitHub, then you'll want to go ahead and create a GitHub account before class starts. And there are videos and resources to be able to kind of help walk you through that process. I'll show you where those are all at too. And then you'll use a homework assignment submission form, which is just a website that you go to and you plug in some information as far as like which lesson your assignment is for that you're submitting, and you'll submit a little link to your GitHub repository showing, okay, this is the work that I did for this week, so on and so forth. For a community and being able to communicate with each other and with your mentors, then we have Slack as our primary communications device. It's a program that you can download on your computer, you can download it on your mobile device, and it's basically just kind of organizing people that we invite into our workspace into channels. So there'll be class channels that you are already invited to based on which class you're in. One for announcements, one for discussion, and one for an outlet. So that way, if you just want to kind of socially get to know each other, or if you just want to kind of, I don't know, reach out about various things that are not necessarily curriculum specific, then you'll be able to do that. And then Discord also is available. We've got Discord servers up and running so that way you can join classes for your, or channels for your classes and talk to your classmates in a more social setting. Kind of think of it as like an online coffee shop. All classes will have Google Sheets for mentor sheets. I'll show you what those are, how to access them, how to use them. And we have Calendly that we'll be using for arranging one-on-one mentor sessions. So if you're coming from a previous class that did not use Calendly for one-on-one mentor sessions, that will be new for you. And it's really pretty simple and straightforward. It's going to be on your class website. You click a link, it takes you to that mentors page so you can see all the days and times they have available. And then you just select what day and time you want to sign up for. It's a little bit more streamlined rather than having to message them back and forth on Slack to say, are you free this day, this time, that kind of a thing. And then Zoom, the call that we're on right now, you will each have a different link for each class, but you'll use the same link every time you want to join a mentor session, and I'll show you where those are located at as well. But that's kind of a quick overview of your class tools. I will give you visuals on all of these after our break, so that way you know what they look like, how to find them, how to get to them, how to use them. Any questions so far about class tools? Okay. All right, class curriculum. Since we've got students from 3 different classes on the call tonight, I don't have it broken down specifically, but the way to be able to take a look to see what you'll be learning in your class is to go to your class website. I'm going to go ahead and put the learn.codethedream.org address in the chat right now, so that way you can follow that link or copy and paste it into your browser. And then go to your particular class, and that way you can see your class's main page if you'd like to. But your lesson list, so it lists out all of your lessons week by week, shows you when it starts, when it stops, and it has the lesson topics there. So that gives you an idea of what you'll be learning in your particular class. You can also take a look at your class's final project rubric. That's either going to be the very, very last lesson that's listed on your class's main page. It'll say final project information. And that'll give you a breakdown of specifically what your final project should consist of, things that you should know in order to build your final project and pass the class at the end. So those are ways that you can see, what am I going to be learning this next 17 weeks? And then we also have a new program that we're running alongside all of your classes. It's called 100 Days of Code, and it's sort of a social media campaign. So if you have a Twitter account, if you have a LinkedIn account, anything of that variety, and you'd like to participate, you can. It's optional participation. You do not have to do this if you don't have the time, if you don't want to. If you're not big into social media, that's totally fine. But for those of you who would like to participate, you just make a post every day on either Twitter or LinkedIn or TikTok or some social media aspect, and you just put hashtag 100 days of code and hashtag 100 days of CTD. So that way we can kind of track your progress and see how you're doing and see who all is participating. The reason we started this little social media campaign and are kind of promoting it with the new classes is we have gotten feedback from folks that it's a good way for people who will be hiring you in the future to be able to see that you are an active learner and that you are focused on learning new things and kind of really getting into understanding your tech stack. And they can kind of see your growth and progress too. So it's a nice way to kind of promote yourself and how much of an active learner you are. So that's a helpful little thing. If you have more questions about it, you can either send me an email or send me a Slack message to be able to get more details. Janet Zulu, who is not on our call right now, is an intern that we have until the holidays, and she's helping our social media side of our organization kind of get all of this set up. So she might need like your Twitter handle or your LinkedIn profile page link, so that way she knows that you're participating and she can kind of track to see how many people are participating in it and what kind of traction they're getting and what kind of attention they're getting. So like I said, if you've got more questions, just hit me up, let me know. Otherwise, we hope you'll participate in it. And if you can't participate in it, that's okay too. All right, roles and expectations. So as students, we expect you all to cover all of your learning materials every week. Make sure that you're completing your coding assignments and your mindset responses each week. You'll want to attend 2 mentor sessions each week. That's an average number. We know that there might be some weeks that 2 is just not going to happen given your work schedules, and that's okay. We also know that there might be some weeks that you're like, I'm really struggling with this concept. I need more than 2 mentor sessions, and that's fine too. But we've found 2 mentor sessions a week is kind of the sweet spot for most students to be able to get what they need and do well throughout the class. And then we want you to foster a supportive, encouraging, helpful environment. So have respectful interactions with each other, have respectful interactions with your mentors, your classmates. Overall, we expect it'll be about 15 to 20 hours of work a week on your coursework. So that includes going to your mentor sessions. That includes working on your coding assignment and your mindset information. That includes covering your lesson materials, all of that good stuff. Some folks it might be a little less, some folks it might be a little more. You might find some variance throughout the class. Maybe one week is stuff that you knew already, and so it's easy and you don't spend a lot of time on it. Other weeks you might be pushing the 20 hours or going a little over the 20 hours, depending on what the concept is. But just kind of have that in the back of your mind that about 15 to 20 hours a week will be how much time you'll be spending on classwork. All right, class flow. So what does it look like? What are the functions you'll be doing throughout the week? So our classes all start on Wednesdays, and you need to turn in your assignments by Tuesday night. And it's Tuesday night, midnight local time as far as sort of the assignment due date. If you're going to be late, that's fine. Just make me aware so that way I know what's going on with you and know that you are still in class. You're just kind of running behind because you've had a busy week or whatever. But so Wednesday, you'll read any announcements that we post in your class announcements channel. Look over your lesson for the week. If you're able to, go ahead and start your lesson for the week. Thursday through Sunday is really when you're going to be working through all of that lesson material, attending mentor sessions on any of these days to be able to answer questions either about a previous week or a current week. Start on your coding and mindset assignments. Monday, read any announcements that we post on Monday mornings about any like closures or changes to calendars or anything along those lines. And then finish up your lessons and assignments. Tuesday, give your assignment a final check, a look over, review it, submit your work. And in your link that you submit your work, then you'll also submit some feedback about, was it a hard lesson? Was it an easy lesson? Did you cover all your lesson materials? The reason we ask all that extra data information from you is just so that way we can gauge if our classes are tracking well. Like if there's one week that everybody is like, this is an impossible week, and it's followed by one week that everybody's like, this is a really easy week, then we know we can kind of divvy up that curriculum and spread it out to make the weeks a little bit more manageable. So that's why we ask for that information. Please share feedback on those forms whenever you can. Throughout the week, you'll attend those 2 mentor sessions. They can be group sessions or one-on-ones or some combination thereof. It's whatever you prefer. If you like just having one-on-one sessions, that's fine. You can always just keep signing up for one-on-one sessions, and those are your mentor sessions. If you like the group sessions better, then you can just attend the group sessions. We'll talk about how to sign up for those. And be sure to post in the discussion channel for your class whenever you have questions, or if you found a really helpful tool or anything like that, then use those devices to be able to reach out whenever you need any help. Okay, we're going to take a real quick 3-minute break. So that way, if you need to take a potty break or if you need to get a drink or anything like that, then you can. I'm going to pause recording. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We had a question in the chat while we were on break about if you need to take all 3 of the advanced classes before you can apply for the apprenticeship, and the answer is no. You just need to take 1 advanced class and complete the practicum in order to apply for the apprenticeship. All right, so now we are back. Let's start taking a look at these actual class tools and get some visuals. Okay. Oh, and there's another question. How long after the course ends will we begin the apprenticeship, assuming we are accepted? Yeah, so after you complete the practicum portion, there's usually like a 2 to 4 week window when they're kind of like processing, taking a look at everything that you've done throughout the program, seeing where you're at technical skill wise, conferring with the mentors that you have during the practicum portion to see if you're ready to be able to be brought onto a real world project, all of that good stuff. And then they send out offer letters. So usually within a month of the practicum ending, you'll have word back. Do we get sent a list when all of the mentor sessions are? Yes, I'll be covering mentor sessions briefly. Okay, so let's take a look at that MASCOF acronym I was talking about: materials, assignments, sessions, community, and final project. Learn.codethedream.org and then go to your class is where you will be able to find your class lessons. The lesson materials are Free Code Camp for the Node class, Road to React text for the React class. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups, in Team Treehouse for the Ruby on Rails class. Your assignments are going to be in GitHub throughout. The Ruby on Rails and the Node class, I think, work in a couple of different repositories, like you build and create things and kind of work in a couple of different repositories depending on what you're learning that week. The React class, you create one repository and you are building and working on that same repository throughout the duration of the class. The mindset assignments, those are just sort of like programmer concepts. Those will start week 2. We want the first week to just be you getting comfortable with where to find your lesson materials, where to find your assignments, all of that good stuff. All of your homework you'll always submit using the homework assignment form, and I'll show where that's at as well. Let me take a look real quick as far as any other questions that have popped in. Oh, last day of class. That is an excellent question. Let me take a look at Slack really quick to remind myself. So the last day of class is going to be February 28th for the individual portion. So your first 17 weeks when you're working on your own code base, that's going to be February 28th as the last day of your class. And then your practicum will run March 13th to May 9th. And we'll take a look at what that was that I just had up on the screen in a moment. That's Slack, and we'll show more about that. Okay, perfect. You'll actually do the practicum at the end of your advanced class because you'll need to be able to organize yourselves into groups and decide what kind of a project you want to build for the practicum portion. And all right, let's see here. So assignments, GitHub throughout. Mindset starts week 2. You'll always use a homework assignment submission form to be able to submit your work. Sessions are on a Google Sheets, which I'll show you in a moment here, Calendly for one-on-ones, and Zoom is how you connect with your mentors. You also might use Slack to connect with your mentors if you're doing one-on-ones. The community is Slack channels. So each of you will be in either Bass announcements if you're in the Bass class, Bald Eagle announcements, Baboon announcements, and then class name discussion. And then all of you will be in the BBB outlet together. So the BBB outlet is a way for you to be able to talk to other students that are in the other 2 advanced classes that you are not in. And you can, share each other's LinkedIn profiles so that way you can network and connect that way. You can ask questions there. There might be somebody in the Node class this time around that already completed the React class and you're in the React class and have a question. So you can always post some questions in there if you want to. It's just a way for the 3 classes to be able to communicate amongst themselves. All right, you can also communicate in whatever form works best. So if you want to share an email with a classmate or friend, feel free to do that. If you want to just communicate on Discord, then we'll have instructions on how to join the Discord server and all of that there too. Okay, final project and practicum. So for the Node class, your final project is going to be built during the last 2 weeks of class. So the first 15 weeks of class, you're doing individual projects to kind of learn what Node is and what Express is and testing tools and all that kind of stuff. And then the last 2 weeks is when you're going to be focusing on building your own project yourself from scratch. For the React class, from week 1 all the way throughout the course, you're going to be building your React app, and each week you'll build new little parts onto that app. So it's going to be very simple and basic at the start, and then little by little you'll be spinning up more and more components and putting them together and all that good stuff. And then the Ruby on Rails class, you'll have the last 3 weeks of class that you'll be building your final project. So the first 14 weeks of class, you're doing individual stuff, and then the last 3 weeks is when you're building your final project. Let's see here. Oh, for the apprenticeship, once you complete the practicum, then we take a look at sort of where your technical skills are and where your soft skills are. And then from there, we determine who's going to be brought on to the apprenticeship. So you do need to apply for the apprenticeship at the end of practicum, but we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so now that you've seen sort of the shortened Reader's Digest version of all of this information, let's take a look at it more specifically, and let's get visuals on some of these things here. Okay, so I had put the link in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste it in there real quick too, so that way anybody who wants to can click the link and go and kind of work alongside while we're learning. This is our main school site, so you can access your class web page, so the page specific to your class, which shows your calendar and gives you all your tools and everything, by going to the classes and then selecting either Baboon, Bald Eagle, or Bass, depending on which class you're in. We also have fun little pictures down here to be able to see which class you're with, and you can just click those. It'll take you to your class page. So feel free to use those. You can also bookmark your class page, so that way it's easy to find and get to. If you click on classes by mistake and find yourself on this page, this is a list of all of our current and past classes. So just take a look under current classes. Oh, I'm in the Bald Eagle class. Click on Bald Eagle and you'll go to your class website. Okay, so for your class website, it's going to have your class name and what type of class you are at the top. That's how you'll know that you're on your right class website. There's some information here. Be sure that you're reading it. I do need to add links to your class wiki and your general instructions for the React Bald Eagle class, but these will not be on the Bass and Baboon classes. But so you might have a little bit different content if you're in, right now we're looking at the React page. If you're in the Node class or the Ruby on Rails class, your page might look a little bit different at the start. Read through whatever information's there. And then down here is where we've got your course calendar. So usually it's either broken up into lessons or sections, you know, whatever the case may be. There are links here in the lessons column, and that's how you'll get to what your lesson is for each page. So you'll notice week 0 starts today. Week 0 does not have any assignments on it. It's just a page for you to go to and read through that'll help get you comfortable with like where to find your class tools at, what to do if you need help. If you're new to using Slack or GitHub or anything like that, then it's got resources on there for you. So just click on your pre-class information page. All 3 classes will come to this same page, and it has a fun little module there for like learning tips about how to make sure that you're absorbing and understanding the information properly. It has class etiquette as far as like don't use all caps when you're typing because people don't like being shouted at. Mentor interaction, so like little resources that you can turn to get information before a mentor session if you need to. How to ask for help. So if you're going to ask for help, don't just say, I need help, something's wrong. You know, say, oh, something's wrong. I'm getting an error on this line of code. I've tried to figure out what it is. This is what I've attempted to do, and it's still not working. So give the person who's going to be helping you some context of what you've done already. So everybody should take a look through that pre-class information page, which is in week 0 of your class lesson page. So that way you can get all of that good information. And then from there, each week you'll just click on that particular lesson. I do post these links every Wednesday for each of your classes in your class announcements channel. So if you haven't bookmarked this or you forget that this is where you have to go, you'll have the link to your lesson page, the link to your coding assignment, and the link to your mentor session sign up sheet will be posted in your class announcements channel every Wednesday. Okay, so a lesson page looks like this. It's typically broken into either like learning objectives and or lesson materials to let you know what all you need to do. So the React class, these are going to be the chapters that you'll want to read and work through for week 1. If there are any videos or supplemental materials, then you'll have that information there. Keep scrolling down. There's a lot of content for a React class for week 1. And then you'll have an assignments section. You'll have a coding assignment, you'll have a mindset assignment. So for the coding assignment, you'll want to follow any links for your specific class that takes you to your coding assignment. For the mindset assignment, you'll see here, since it's week 1, that it says there's nothing for you to do week 1, just get comfortable using your class tools. But otherwise, there'll be some kind of content there as far as like, you know, how do you solve problems? Here's some information about problem solving strategies, and then some little journal questions to answer. This is an example of some of the mindset. So it's just a couple of little paragraphs, a short video to watch, and then these are the questions that you'll wind up answering when you have to answer your do your mindset assignment homework. So why do you want to be a software developer? What do you plan to do with your skills at the end of class? So they're all just sort of journal-y questions that you wind up answering. Questions so far about class main pages, lesson pages, or the mindset portion of class? Feel free to unmute and ask.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I've been working on a couple projects and different things because I did the back end of this a couple years ago, but different things have been coming up. Like for example, on one project I was working for, they were trying to get us to draw like a schema, like a database schema. So that, I mean, that in itself is a kind of a topic to learn. And then one thing was Docker. You know, so there's all kinds of different things that come up that are useful in putting together a project. I'm just kind of wondering how to sort of put that in with all this.
Yeah, so if anything that's sort of supplemental pertains to a particular section of your lesson, then we'll have information in there. If there are things that you've experienced as you've been kind of coding and learning and working through things, then check with your mentors during mentor sessions or during one-on-one sessions
Mhm.
about specifics. If it's not covered in the curriculum, then be sure to check with them, because all of the mentors and volunteers are experienced developers. So they've likely already encountered this and know the ins and outs of the various like tools, gems, add-ons,
Mm.
that kind of information can kind of help guide you to good resources and or answer questions that you have about those concepts.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Let me take a look at chat real quick in case there's any questions that I missed there. Okay, all right, I think we are on that. Any other questions out there about how to find your class website, how to find your lessons, and or how to like what the mindset assignments are like? Do I need to be invited to Slack channel? Yes. Yes. So anybody that's new to the program, you'll get a Slack invite this week to be able to join our Slack workspace. You'll already be on the channels that you need to be. When I send the invite to you and set you up, I put you on your class channels. So when you go to Slack, then the channels will be in a menu on the left. I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. And then you can either direct message people, so it's just a private message between you and the other person. You can group message, so if there were 2 or 3 classmates that you want to get together for a study session, you can do a little group message, put multiple recipients on your little to field and message those folks together. Or you can post things in your class announcements and discussion channels. Good question. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I'm forgetting as far as class materials. Oh, I wanted to give you a preview of what the lesson materials are looking like. Okay, so for the React class, you're going to have the Road to React textbook. We'll be providing you with a PDF. I've got the PDF open in my browser right now, but it'll be a downloadable PDF, so that way you can just open it using like Adobe Acrobat or any other kind of like PDF viewer that you might have on your computer that you want to use. It's very much a textbook, so it's got, information about the author, excuse me, copyright information. It's got your table of contents. So table of contents is where you'll see like the chapter listings and what page they're on. So when we were looking back here, back here on lesson 1, and we saw about the lesson materials covering what, like 6 or 7 chapters, Hello React requirements, project setup, all of that. It seems like it's a lot, but when you take a look, Hello React is from page 7 to page 9. So that's 2 pages of reading to do. Requirements is from 9 to 11. That's 2 pages of reading to do. So it might not be as much as it initially looks like. So get a preview of all of your lesson materials at the start of your week, so that way you can kind of gauge your time accordingly. So React students, you'll be working your way through the textbook. So, jump to page 9, I think was what they said was the first part. Yeah. And just read through, code alongside, ask any questions if you need any help. Yeah, so here's your Hello React on page 7, so on and so forth. Okay. All right, and then Team Treehouse, Ruby on Rails. So you'll be getting, if you're in the Ruby on Rails class, you'll be getting an invite to the Team Treehouse resource. And then you should have the track already assigned to you. So it'll just be a matter of going through the Welcome to Ruby on Rails. I don't think you'll need to join track because you'll already be on it. But it has a breakdown of all of the different topics that you'll be learning. Links to these topics are already in your class page. So let's go ahead and take a look at the BAS class. Course calendar, we go to lesson 1.1, we're going to be learning SQL basics. You click on the SQL basics and it goes ahead and it takes you straight to SQL basics in Team Treehouse. So it takes you exactly to the video that you're going to need to take a look at. All right, and then for the Node class, let's take a look at that really quick too. Node, as I had mentioned, there's 2 really, really long free code camp videos that we've broken into bite-sized pieces. It's a 10-hour and an 8-hour video. Do not go through all 18 hours in your first week. We have it broken into little segments as best we could. So like for the Node introduction week, you'll notice it says watch just the first hour and 45 minutes of this video. So you just click the link, it'll take you to the video. Watch your first hour and 45 minutes and then stop it, and then go through the then go through your coding assignment instructions to be able to do your coding assignment, which should sort of coincide with what you were learning in the video. Questions about either Road to React textbook, Team Treehouse, or the free Code Camp video links. Not all of the classes have videos. So free Code Camp videos are the ones for Node. We do have some videos we've created and YouTube videos that we've linked for the React class. And I think it goes about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the React class, but there will be some weeks that you don't have video content in the React class. The Ruby on Rails, I'm pretty sure every week has a Team Treehouse lesson. If you are needing any help with videos, or watching another video to kind of get a visual or get a concept down, then feel free to use the discussion channel to reach out to fellow students, or look on YouTube for any kind of tutorials that are on that lesson topic. So for example, if I'm in the Baboon class and I'm having trouble with REST methods, then do a YouTube for Node REST methods. And that should help give you some resources that you can kind of look through that might make things a little bit clearer. Definitely reach out to mentors, reach out to classmates, because some folks might have already found a good resource that they like on that particular topic and are happy to share that with you. So lean on each other, help each other as much as you can. Okay, so that covers our lesson materials. Let's take a look then at lesson assignments. You're going to be doing GitHub throughout. Mindset starts on week 2, so you don't have to worry about doing any of that for week 1. And then you'll use the homework assignment submission form. All right, so let's take a look at that. Here is a GitHub repository. This is the one for the Bald Eagle React class. I am still building up some of your structures, like you have a wiki here that'll give you the breakdown of your calendar and your lessons and coding assignments, that kind of a thing for the React class. So I'm still building that out, but I will have all those links into your class lesson pages as quickly as possible. For the Node and Ruby on Rails classes, there'll be a link to a particular repository that you'll be working with for that week or for a couple of weeks while you're learning a particular concept for backend. So each class will have one or more repositories that they're working in. React, you'll just have the one that you're working in. Be sure to read any instructions that are on the README page that you land on when you get to a GitHub repository, and follow any instructions there for what you're supposed to be doing. When you're done doing your assignment, then you should have github.com/your GitHub username, not Code the Dream School, and then /pull/ and then a number for your pull request for your coding assignment for that week. So you'll copy and paste that particular coding assignment that you've completed and done and pushed up to your GitHub repository, and you'll put that in your assignment submission form. For the mindset assignments, I mentioned they're just journal questions, so you can copy and paste them, put them in a little notepad document or a Word document, and then copy and paste your questions and answers into your assignment each week. Your assignment submission form looks like this. So it's got a little person sitting at a desk. Assignment submission form. You'll click to be able to pull up your name. So here's me. And then you'll want to select your lesson assignment if there isn't one already. I do have some link shortcuts in there that'll automatically select your week for you, but most of them you do not have that link shortcut. So you'll want to go in and select. All of our classes that we offer are listed in this lesson. So be sure that you're scrolling and picking the right one, especially if you're coming from an intro class. It's really easy to be like, oh yeah, intro week, whatever, 1, 2, but you're not in intro anymore, you're advanced. So scroll down, we've got intro first, then the Node classes are listed, then the React class lessons are listed, and then the Ruby on Rails classes are listed. So just select whatever particular lesson you're submitting for that one. I do have it set so for any of the first week assignments, then you won't even have a field to put in your mindset answer because there is no mindset thing for the first week. But if you're picking a different week because we're past week 1, then you'll notice that there is a section for mindset response. There's a whole lot of questions in the assignment form, but like I said, please feel free to answer as much of it as you can. Anything that's required has a little red asterisk, so you do have to put something in there for anything that has the red asterisk. The other fields that don't have it are optional, but read through it, fill it out. It's a long form to do each time, but it's really, really valuable. It's been very helpful to us. Please fill out as much of it as you can, and then just click submit. You should get an email confirmation that we received it, and it'll put the link to your work that you shared. So that way you can double check and make sure that your link works and that you didn't throw a typo in there and break your link or anything like that. Questions about how to submit assignments and or where to find the assignment submission form? I don't think I covered where to find the assignment submission form. You typically will find it at the end of a mindset section, like here. So Bass, Baboon, Bald Eagle, and any 2023 classes use this link. Do not use this link. Use the right link for your class. You also will find them at the end of lesson assignments. When you've completed your coding assignment and mindset assignment, be sure to use the proper one for your class. So I'm on the Baboon lesson 1.2 page or whatever. Use the homework assignment submission form. And we have shortcuts for that form also in Slack. So they're in your class announcements channel, there's a little button right here, assignment submission form. So you can click that to be able to get to your assignment submission form as well. Questions about any of that?
Did you say we have to create a pull request?
Yes.
Can you
Yeah.
walk
So
through that one more time?
typically you'll do you'll do a coding assignment, and then the usual flow for classes is you'll have a repository that you're working in, whether it's your React one that you start week 1 or whatever. And then you'll do some kind of change to the code to be able to do your coding assignment. And then you'll do on a working branch. So every repository has a main branch, which is like their published final copy. Like this is what's going to go to the App Store kind of version. And then they have branches off of that to be able to make changes without affecting the final product that the client or that the user sees and interacts with. So each lesson, you'll branch off of your main, you'll do your coding assignment, and then you'll do a pull request to be able to get your working branch merged back to your main copy. It's a little bit of a confusing process. If you're still kind of new to GitHub, definitely work with your mentors in the first week to be able to get comfortable with that workflow process. But generally, every week, you're going to make sure that your main is up to date. You'll do a working branch, do your code, push that to GitHub, do a pull request for your working branch from your working branch to main in GitHub, and then you'll merge it once everything's good. Hopefully that's not too confusing. It's a very involved thing to explain. And there is a video in your pre-class page that kind of helps explain what to do for GitHub too. So feel free to use those resources. Other questions about assignment submission? And again, you can always find your coding assignments in the assignment section under coding assignments. There'll be a link that says like, click here for your repository or click here to be taken to your coding assignment, that kind of a thing. It's a little bit different depending like on which of the 3 classes you're in. But in general, everything will have a coding assignment section and then a link to follow for that coding assignment. Okay. All right, let's keep moving right along then. Sessions. All right, let's talk mentor sessions now. Okay, on your main class page, each of the 3 main class pages, whether it's Baboon, Bass, or Bald Eagle, you'll have a link in one of the first several paragraphs that says sign up for mentor sessions using Calendly links below. And it takes you down to the mentor information page. If you're new to our program, so we've got group mentor sessions and we have one-on-one mentor sessions. Group mentor sessions are where you're going to be on a call with a mentor and some other students. One-on-one is just going to be you and the mentor to be able to cover any questions that you have. So for group mentor sessions, you'll click this link to go to your mentor session sheet. Or, and there's a video that explains how to use those and what they look like, but I'm going to show you here in a minute too. Or you can scroll down for one-on-one or by appointment mentors. And each page has sort of this list. This will be growing throughout the week. We're still getting finalized information from mentors that are working with your classes. But you'll have folks that are one-on-one mentors listed here, and you can just click sign up with this mentor for whichever mentor you feel like meeting with. We typically display their name and which time zone they're in, but you don't have to be in the same time zone to be able to meet up with folks. So when I clicked that sign up with this mentor, it takes you to Calendly. So Jack DeVries is available on the 11th, on the 18th, and the 25th, because there are these little blue bubbles here on those 3 Tuesdays. So you click on the day that you want to take a look at, and it'll show you whatever times that are available. If you also have a Calendly account, then it'll show you what times you have free. So like Tuesday, October 11th, I don't have anything on my calendar for 6 or 6:30. That's why there's a little green dot. But if you don't have a Calendly account, you don't need one. It'll still show you the times, and you just pick whatever time slot works best for you. It'll probably ask you a couple questions. Have you put in your email? So click confirm, and that'll confirm and schedule it with that mentor for that particular time. So clicking confirm would schedule me for a 7 p.m. session with Jack DeVries on Tuesday the 11th, and you'll get an email confirmation on that information. Questions about Calendly at all? And using one-on-one mentor sessions? Okay. All right, so now let's take a look at the group sessions. So group sessions are just organized on a spreadsheet. Each week is going to be its own separate tab. So if my page ever finishes loading. Okay, here we go. So we've got week of October 12th. There'll be extra tabs that will be added on here as each week progresses. Sometimes mentors might have an alteration to their schedule, so that's why we do it week by week. Make sure that you're on the right week by looking at the tab at the bottom first. So here we're looking at the Baboon mentor session schedule, and we've got a couple of the mentors that have already listed their times. There will be more that'll be getting filled in throughout the week as mentors let us know what time they want to hold their sessions at. But Jack is going to have one that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Say you're in Mountain time zone, then it'll be at 6 p.m. your time. So if Jack is East Coast, then it'll be 8 o'clock where Jack is, but it'll be 6 o'clock where you are in Mountain time. So when it's 6 o'clock your time, use the link up here to be able to join his mentor session at that time. You've got a link to your class website page in case you need it. I'm going to be adding links along here to the one-on-one mentors Calendly pages too. So that way, if you need to access a one-on-one mentor, you'll have that information on this page as well. So just take a look. We've got Wednesday through Tuesday listed since our weeks go Wednesday through Tuesday. So look for whatever mentor has a day and time that work for you. And then you just type in your name in one of the cells. And there you go. It'll automatically save it. So that way we'll know, okay, Mary Alice is now signed up for Frank's session, which starts at noon Eastern on Monday, October 17th. And so just keep adding your names to the list. You'll have other students that'll list their names too. So just find the next empty cell and add your name to it. Any questions about, any questions about this mentor sign up sheet for group sessions, or questions about the difference between group sessions and one-on-one sessions or anything like that? Good. Okay, let's keep on moving then. Bring questions to your sessions. That's one thing I wanted to be sure to highlight. As you're working through your lesson materials, jot down your questions, keep a little notepad, keep a little journal, keep a little Word doc, whatever, of any questions that you want to cover in your mentor sessions. They are there to be able to answer questions for you. It's not going to be the typical type of school class format where a mentor sits and lectures at you for an hour about a concept. They're there more for questions and answers. So be sure to bring your questions with you to your sessions. You might notice sessions are a little bit different as far as like what they're covering. If you're attending a session on a Wednesday or a Thursday, it's early in the week. And so a lot of people probably haven't done the assignment or looked over much of the lesson materials for that week. So a Wednesday or a Thursday might be more of a review of your previous week. Monday, Tuesday sessions are going to be more of a let's troubleshoot our coding assignments kind of topics. So it can kind of vary, but if you aren't prepared, if you haven't finished the coding assignment, if you haven't finished your lesson materials, doesn't matter. Go to a mentor session anyway, because you can still get a lot of valuable insights about what you're learning, or you might get a preview of, oh, they ran into such and such problem. I'll have to remember when I'm doing that on my coding assignment that was sort of a sticky part that causes some issues. So I'll need to really be careful and pay attention to what I'm doing there at that time. So attend mentor sessions, even if you don't have your coding assignment done, even if you haven't done your lesson materials. Okay. If in the event of any kind of no-shows or cancellations for mentor sessions, if you're on a call for a group mentor session, please give them 15 minutes. If they still aren't there after 15 minutes, you all can either stay on the call and work together, or you can hop off the call and find another mentor session later in the week to be able to join up with, or schedule a one-on-one, that kind of a thing. For the oh, and be sure to have somebody from class tag the person in Slack, so that way the mentor knows, hey, we're in the room waiting for you. Where are you? Just in case they forgot to set an alarm, or got sidetracked with something at work or something like that. So in the first 15 minutes, ping the mentor if they're not there. And then if it's been 15 minutes and they still haven't showed and they haven't replied, then feel free to either work together or hop off the call. So that's sort of our protocol for how mentor sessions go. If a mentor does have to cancel or reschedule last minute, they'll announce it in your class announcements channel. So be sure to keep an eye on your class announcements channel periodically throughout the week. Okay, so let's talk about Slack and Discord so that way you can get visuals on that. You've heard me talk about Slack. Some of you are probably completely new to Slack. If you are new, you'll be getting an invite to our Slack workspace. You can download the program onto your computer. That's what it looks like here. So I've got Slack open right now. The menu on the side, you've got threads, direct messages, mentions, reactions. You can save items. Anything that you save just saves it for you personally, so that way you can click on it and look back at it. Anything that's pinned in a channel is going to be pinned for that entire channel. And I'll show you an example in just a moment. Okay, so each of you will be getting into a class announcements, a class discussion, and a class, the BBB outlet channel here. So the announcements channel is where most of the action's going to happen. I will be posting every Wednesday, and you'll also get a post every Monday. Monday will be a link to your mentor session sheet for the upcoming week. Wednesday will be the link to your lesson page, to your coding assignment, and to your mentor session sheet. So that way you can access those quickly and easily. I'll show you a quick example with the Cassiopeia intro class. So this is what I posted for them this morning. Good afternoon. Here are your usual Wednesday links. This is the link that takes them to their lesson page for that week. This is the link that takes them to their coding assignment. This is the link that takes them to their mentor session sheet so they can sign up for group sessions if they need to. If there are any announcements, I'll post it as well. So if there's going to be like a holiday closing with Code the Dream or something like that, then that'll be notated in announcements. So keep an eye out for any of those as well. Monday, so back on Monday, we just posted, good morning, everyone. Here's the link for the mentor session sheets. So it's just the link to be able to go to the mentor session sheet and sign up for the upcoming week. Okay. So those are your channels. Discussion is used for you to be able to kind of communicate with each other. Both students and mentors are on the discussion channel. So if you have a question about a concept, you can post it there, and either a classmate or a mentor can reply if they have good information as an answer for you. So feel free to share any questions or any information there. And then the outlet channel is where you can talk to one another about either social stuff, or you can just be like, hey, how's the Node class going? I'm in the React class. Do you like it? I might want to take that next. So you can use that however you want to. To create a direct message, you can just click the new message button up here. And then that's where you would put in whoever you're going to message to. So for example, like Ahmad Walid, you're not in there yet because I need to invite you since you're new to our program. But you would just go ahead and type in the person's name, select whoever it is that you're going to be sending a message to. If you have any message history with them, it'll show up. If you are messaging them for the first time, it'll show you here. Type your message below, and then just hit the green send button to be able to send a direct message to somebody. The other thing I wanted to show you all real quick too is how to tag somebody. So for example, in our Cassiopeia class, oops, sorry. When I post the announcements, then I'm going to do @channel. So that way you'll get a bold face notification that, oh, there's something new in that channel I need to pay attention to. So I use @channel for announcements. You can use @here, and anybody that's online will see your post. They'll get a little bold notification, and so that way they can jump to that channel and see whatever you posted. If you need to ping somebody particular, I'm trying to find a good example. I think it was actually in the Dorado class. There was a mentor that was late for their session. And so, yeah, here we go. So yesterday, the mentor was a little bit late for their session. So Sanzi went ahead and did add Todd Whitney, who was the mentor. We've got our meeting today as a reminder. So that way Todd would get an alert that there's a new message in the Dorado channel. It'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, I've got my mentor session, and they'll hop on. So you just use the @ and then the person's name to be able to tag somebody or kind of make them aware that that particular post is important for them to see. Questions about Slack? There is a Slack resource video that's on your pre-class information page, that week 0 link on all of your class pages. So that'll help give you a visual on all of this too and get you a little more familiar if you're new to it. Okay, let's take a look at Discord really quick. And I'll be sharing information. There's a link that you need to, a specific link that you need to follow to join Discord if you're not already on it. and sorry, it has little pop-ups. To be able to be invited to our workspace because it's a private workspace within Discord. But just like in Slack, you've got different channels here for the particular classes. It'll show you who's online. So right now, Jason Kiffler is online. There's a little green button there, and he's playing Pillars of Eternity. So you can use this as a little bit more social to be able to interact with each other. Feel free to put, hey, I went to the beach this weekend. Here's a picture, or, anything that you want to share, you're welcome to share in Discord. You will never, ever, ever get any class announcements or important Code the Dream program information in Discord. Discord is really just meant to be a coffee shop social space for students to be able to communicate and get to know each other. So if you don't do Discord, you're not going to be missing anything important for classwork. Okay, questions about any of that? Okay. So then we're getting near the end. I know it's been a long night. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. A lot of information to go over for 3 different classes. Final project for the Node class, last 2 weeks of class is when you'll be building your final project, but go ahead and look at your final project rubric before the last 2 weeks of class. Preview it about halfway through and kind of get an idea of what in this rubric do I already know how to build? What are things that I'm looking forward to figuring out between now and then? For the React class, you are building your to-do list app, which is your final project from week 1 all the way through. All of your coding assignments will walk you through step-by-step how to build it. And then you have a final week to be able to kind of like tweak and make any adjustments or hit some stretch goals or things like that. And then Ruby on Rails, the last 3 weeks of class is when you'll be able to build your final project. We will have final project presentation nights. They're typically the Thursday and Friday after last day of class. So March 2nd and March 3rd, go ahead and mark your calendars now in the evenings, afternoons, evenings, depending on which time zone you're in, of March 2nd and March 3rd is when we'll have final class project presentations. All right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the practicum. So for the practicum, it's strongly recommended to attend. It's required if you're wanting to apply for the apprenticeship. So you do need to complete a practicum if you want to then be a part of the apprenticeship program. Your practicum for all 3 of your classes are going to run from March 13th to May 9th. And then you'll have, it's an 8-week period when you're doing those group projects, and it's to be able to give you experience working in a team development scenario. So figuring out all the ins and outs of having multiple people touching the same repository, the same code base, building one singular app amongst a whole bunch of people, because that's what you do in the real world when you're on a development team. So this will really help get you comfortable with that workflow process. You will be allowed to pick your team members. So get to know each other during class now. Get to know your classmates. You're encouraged to get to know students in the other classes as well. Depending on how many students are completing each of these 3 courses is how we'll structure the practicum. Our current practicum that's going to be starting in another week or so has 3 React students and 2 Node students in every group of 5 students that'll be working on a single project. So get to know folks from the other classes. If we have all of our Rails students completing, Ruby on Rails students completing, and we have a bunch of React students completing, then we might have some of you do a Ruby on Rails React mini project. We might have some of the React students group with some of the Node students. So get to know one another. The primary focus in practicum is going to be gaining experience with sort of that team development workflow, continuous integration, how to test your project, how to deploy your project, how to work through merge conflicts. If 2 team members were doing the same thing on the same line of code and they both push to the main repository, then it's going to cause a conflict. How do you resolve it? How do you fix that? So it's a lot of really valuable information that you're going to be learning that are very real world applications of what you're going to be learning in the practicum. If you do opt out of the practicum and you want to apply for the apprenticeship directly, you can, but you're likely not going to be accepted unless you have had prior team development experience. So unless you've been on a team of developers working on a project with multiple other people touching the same code base, it's unlikely that you'll be accepted direct to apprenticeship that way. So be aware, practicum is very strongly encouraged if you're end game is to be in the apprenticeship program. And then the final note, we talked about it earlier at the beginning, apprenticeship is only available to people living in the US or a US territory at this time, but your residency status doesn't matter. So whether you're in the US or a US territory on a work visa, on a green card, illegally, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're living on US or US territory soil, then you can apply for the apprenticeship. Questions about practicum? Okay. So at the end of practicum, the very, very last week of practicum, you'll fill out a self-evaluation form as well as peer evaluation forms just to kind of give some input as far as like where you feel your confidence lies in your technical abilities, if there are areas that you feel like you want to grow a little bit more on, that kind of thing. So you'll share all that information, and then in that same form, you let us know, I want to apply for the apprenticeship, or I don't want to apply for the apprenticeship, I want to take a class next instead, whatever you want to do. So you'll fill that out at the end of practicum to let us know, yes, I'm applying for apprenticeship, or no, I just want to go ahead and take another class, or no, I don't want to do anything, I'm ready to get out into the work world. I have this slide up about Code the Dream culture. As I had mentioned in the beginning, our core values, please, please, please be very respectful and supportive of one another. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds. Everybody's coming from different experience levels. So really have an effort of being positive and encouraging and supportive. We don't tolerate any kind of harassment behavior. So if that is happening to you, if you see it happening to another student, if you see it happening to a mentor, please feel free to privately contact myself or Lori Kamala, the program director, so that way we can address the behavior and either get it corrected, or if the person is unwilling to correct their behavior to what aligns with our culture of inclusivity, then they will be asked to leave. So we want you to be comfortable here, and we want you to be able to learn. All right, next steps now. If you're new, watch for the Slack workspace invitation. If you are a Ruby on Rails student, watch for a Team Treehouse invitation. All classes, regardless of which class you're in, set up a GitHub account if you don't have one. Preview your class website, learn.codethedream.org, and then go to your class as we showed earlier. And take a look at that either pre-class, week 0, whatever's in that October 5th to October 11th date range. Go ahead and take a look at any links that are there. Check your Slack class announcements channel on Monday the 10th. That'll have a link to your mentor session sign-up sheet. So that way you can go ahead and start signing up for group mentor sessions. And then Wednesday, I'll post the announcements for your first week lesson, your first week coding assignment, your first week mentor session sign-up sheet. So get ready to have fun, work hard. All right, question and answer time, I believe. Oh, sorry, one last thing. So about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the class, then we'll talk more in depth about practicum, how it's structured, how you'll pick groups, all of that good stuff. And we'll talk more in depth about apprenticeship. Final projects are going to be evaluated at the end of your class, and then you'll be notified if you're allowed to proceed to practicum. Practicum's March 13th to May 9th, and then the apprenticeship onboarding would likely happen late May, early June. So within a month of practicum ending is when you'll be notified about if you've been accepted in as apprentice and when your start date is. Okay. If you need any help, turn to mentors, talk to them during sessions, reach out to them through Slack for one-on-one help. Schedule yourself a one-on-one session, post in your Slack discussion channel. We do have a new program that's that started with the last intro class and starting new with these advanced classes that you all are in, called Student Leaders. If you answered yes, you're interested in being a student leader, then I will be in touch with you this coming week. Student leaders will host a 1-hour students only study hall session each week. And it's just to be able to give you all a resource where you can kind of confer with your classmates, like, did you understand what they were asking in question 3? Or, I don't fully get what I'm supposed to be doing here. Can you kind of walk me through how you understand it? Or I can tell you how I think I understand it, and we can see if we're on the same page. So study sessions are going to be really helpful to meet with people that are at your level, to be able to make sure that you're all on the same page. Student leaders are not mentors. Don't expect them to know all the answers. They are students in the class just like you, and going to their student study sessions does not count as a mentor session. So just be aware of that. But it's a new, exciting resource that we're hoping will be helpful and help foster community, and that it'll give you another avenue of a resource to be able to turn to if you need help. If you need anything, contact me, contact the program director. Our information's there. Okay, and now it should be the questions and answers. Okay, unmute, ask me your questions, pop them up in chat, whatever you want to do. If you want me to review anything that we covered tonight, I'm happy to do that. I can pull back up class websites or anything that you need to. Yes, I will share the PowerPoint and the recording tonight. So you all will get an email definitely by the end of the weekend that has all of these slides as well as some screenshots. I'll pop some screenshots in there as well. So you have a visual on it, and you'll have a link to the recording as well too. Yes, you can do the apprenticeship if you have another job. The apprenticeship position is a full-time 40-hour-a-week position. So you might have to cut back hours on another job, possibly. It kind of just depends on what your schedule is like, and you know what all is involved with all of that. Lucy is our human resources and our COO, Chief Operations Officer. She's the one who advises students that they have been accepted into the apprenticeship program. And she's also available to answer any of those particular questions about like, oh, I can't start on the day that you offered me to start because I have to do 2 weeks notice at my current job or things of that nature. So she can help with any of those questions when the time comes. Yes, Mac. Just yes. I just wanted to give you a yes answer there. Any other questions out there? Okay, for those of you that are left, while people are forming questions or thinking if they have any questions, I'd really like to get a class group picture. So anybody that's comfortable with having their cameras on, I'd really like to get a cohort picture of everybody. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna put you all in gallery view if you aren't already. And then take a minute to primp or prep or whatever you'd like to do. And then I'll do a class photo whenever we're ready. I'm so excited that everybody's here. It's a little bit smaller group because the orientation just takes so long, but I need to resize so I get you all on one screen. There we go. Okay. All right. If everybody's ready, just give me a quick thumbs up in your camera like this so I know that you're good to get your picture taken. Okay, wonderful. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. Let me try that again. Screenshot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, big smile. And let me do one more just in case anybody was blinking. 1, 2, 3, big smiles. All right. Thanks, everybody. Okay. If you are good to go, then feel free to hop off the call. If you have any other questions or particular questions that you want to ask me, then hang out. I will hang out until the last person leaves. Thanks, everyone. Have great classes. Reach out if you need anything.
Thank you, Mary Alice.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Alice.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you. It's really good.
Yay, good. Welcome to class. Any other questions out there at all? Mohammed, I'm going to stick around for another minute or two, just in case you do have a question and you just can't get to like unmute or something like that. But then I'll hop off in about 2 minutes if I still don't see that you have any questions either in the chat or unmuted to ask. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Have a good night. Welcome to class.